Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Ranger.
And
Hello,
folks, do
hello,
not attempt to
hello.
adjust your sets. We are on Slutsk East over here for this particular monthly coverage. What's going on with these players, though, sir?
Left hand side in the blue, we have Higan Retour playing a Panzer Grenadier Gross Deutschland with Maverick Income. Right hand side in red, we have Jimster playing the 1st Polish Armor Division with a Maverick
You know, I
Income.
saw all these troops on the southern side of this map, and I was like, oh, yes, he's going to edgelord this. And then I realized that half of them are going into the other side of the map, and I, I'm not disappointed. I'm going to miss. I don't
You
know,
just
man.
love
It's like
edgelords.
there's 4 freaking Cromwells going across. Just keep 2 of them down here, man. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've really warmed to the Cromwell the same way that a Sherman warms to a Tiger tank shell going through its turret. But the Cromwell could have been a really, really fun opening, especially considering how much firepower he's putting in. I don't like it going into the forest.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of openers recently, right? Honestly, Cromwell is such a bloody good tank. It's very cost effective and fast. And we've seen people just do insane stuff with Cromwells, with just being able to maneuver it into a sneaky position. Well, not really sneaky, but really in your face position at the start of a match here. And these Cromwells are, I'd say we're trying to do the same, but no, he's deploying it a bit. It's like aggressive, but also defensive. He hasn't continued to push yet because he needs the
I think a
infantry to clear
player
away.
used to call that a passive aggressive deployment. And it is worth noting that for the most part here, while some of the Großdeutschland stuff does in fact have anti-tank capability, most of the rank and file doesn't.
Yeah, it kind of
Yeah,
sucks for him, huh?
You're in a giant P-Grunt division, but don't worry about actually fighting them. We'll give you tanks to do that. And you're like, where are the tanks? Well,
Yeah.
here's your P3. Have fun.
The Panthers will be in the field in 3 minutes from now. We just can't afford it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do love, and I just want a quick note, the Stroke 3 over here does have that tank rider ability, even though we don't have any tank rider infantry on the map. But I love seeing that. I don't know. I get so happy. Yeah.
The new traits are cool.
It makes it just feel so good. What does not feel good, though, is that Stewart, who just immediately got murked by the Stoke. And the Pack 40 is in the same area doing the Führer's work.
To say he's quite furious, but so far very effective push here from Jimster. I mean, we see his slamming again as well on this map from his position. If you can push up this hill and then clear it out, you have a pretty good shot of just running the rest of the map, because then you can just put a lot of effective fire support down
I
south.
see over here. Just that hilltop is really not going well for Retour. He's more of a retreat, really kind of going on here.
Yeah, and the mobile wagons definitely want to be a little bit mobile here, especially the lack of AT ammunition. This is going to be a bit of an issue here for Higan. I mean, if you just take a look at the rest of the map, I mean, up north it's pretty quiet as usual, and down south, I'd say, yeah, the Cromwell's providing some pretty good fire support against his groupers. So I don't know what Higan is really going to do. Is he going to try and just keep pushing up onto this hill? Because I think that might be a bit of an uphill
Oh, in
battle
more
at
ways
this
than
point.
one, for sure. Kind of gutsy also to have that one P-Gren be like, you know what? I see 57 mil anti-tank gun. Let me shoot at it. I am surrounded by Polish in every single direction, but let me shoot at the anti-tank gun. Very brave, if very foolish.
It's an
very
imminent threat.
Almost as imminent as that kind of 360 no scoping. That Cromwell moving up the road. So here's the weird thing. The Stoogs, I think, pound for pound, are scarier than the Cromwells. It's just the matter of really having that defensive position. And frankly, if you can get, the occasional 17-pounder maybe, or perhaps an Achilles over onto that hilltop, yeah, I don't know how you're going to take that back if you are a Retour.
Yeah, or Firefly. And Achilles as well. She's actually investing quite a lot in some heavy anti-tank early on here. Probably just try to zone out these open areas, because the Fireflies would make pretty short work of those Stags. But he's got a nice, 14-10 I hope to see Higan kind of reclaim his match by pushing another angle, rather than keep trying to just push into his hilltop position. Because once you lose that hilltop position, it's not really worthwhile to push back. Because Spency against first Polis Armored, which has a lot of good like close quarters tanks. Those Cromwells are perfect.
They absolutely are, and not for nothing too, but. If you push back the tanks, you still have to contend with the anti-tank. You still have to contend with all of the infantry. You still have to contend with absolutely freaking everything. Yeah, I don't care that they're only carrying Piats. The Poles have just so much depth to their anti-tank that you can't force it with just a couple of vehicles. You have to be putting a lot of combined arms there, and I just don't see maybe Vitor doing that very swiftly.
Yeah, and these are going to be actually going straight up the hill once again, bringing a lot of armor support, light armor, decent amount of infantry. He does have the possibility to go up here and break it. It's still going to be a costly battle. He just needs to time it right. We can't be seen, you know, bringing drips and drabs of 1 or 2 units up a hill. He's got to amass a big force and then attack all at once.
Well, the kind of funny thing here is the Pack 40 that's on the hilltop now, and he's not unlimbered. He's dead. He's dead, Jim. He's never coming back.
He's unlifed.
Exactly. He's not quite undead, he's unliving. Now, I did like the fact that we did see a tiger, and the tiger's putting some very, very scary firepower down on that Achilles. But let's also note that the Achilles can still kill that tiger. The Achilles has to watch his heel. That's it. The tiger's at the entire pelt, dude. So.
Yeah, he can afford a turret stack. That's nowhere near the heel.
What we're seeing right about now is going into really the later stages of Phase A. That the Tiger is probably where most of this is going to kind of pivot. And I say that it's just a very, very slow pivot. This is, you know, the top of a hotel spinning so you can see the city kind of pivot. This isn't anytime fast, so.
He does have like good long-range fire support to pretty much contain Jimster on the hill, but for Jimster, he doesn't need to push off the hill. There's no reason for him to do so. He could put some more pressure down south from the hill, but the containing Tigers can't really do too much to stop that sort of maneuver.
The thing that I would like to see is I'd like to see the 81 mil half tracks. That to me would have been the easiest way to, if nothing else, expand the bridgehead you're trying to create, drop smoke, suppress really anything and everything. Which I'm kind of surprised that we're not seeing maybe that more aggressive play here.
Yeah. I do like he is kind of pushing, instead of going directly up the hill towards the flag, he's kind of hooking around up north of the hill, probably try to get control of that forest, and then try to make the breakout from there, which is the better geographical position to play from. There we go, he is had to get in a mortar half track, so he's heard
it's
you.
It's so great when I can speak into the past, you know, it's like talking to dead people, so. But on the opposite side, we are going to see Sextons, and as good as the 81mm is, the Sexton is much better because he is empowered by all the killiness of the, well, Wanted Crusaders. In fact, we see 2 of them. I thought we had seen 1, but we got 2 going on in there. That's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, it seems this is really just going to devolve now into a very, very grindy fight, slap bang in the center. And, well, Jimster has a better geographical position, and if there's 2 Sextons now in play, he can pretty easily just blow up a lot of his infantry as they try to come uphill. There's not a whole lot of cover for him to hide from a bunch of, 87.6mm shells. So I guess 25 pounder is a little bit nicer.
It probably is, but at the same time, I'd imagine it'd probably be called something like 11.8 kilogram or something like that, so. With cheese.
Yeah. I want to know what the shell range in stone, goddammit.
Of course you do, you weird ex-Brit. Yeah, actually, isn't a stone 16 pounds or something?
It's like 14 or 16 or something. Oh no, I just get some stones in the back garden and use that as my measurement.
Exactly. How many witches does it weigh, though? So compared to actually, the mobile wagon is actually gauging the infantry as well as this half-track. Rather plucky in, thinking here. Kind of surprised as well to see that the Sextons are... Is that another Sexton? No. Okay. I thought that Sextons maybe were engaging the infantry, but no, that's not to be the case. They're just kind of firing gamely at the intersection.
Trying to put down a bit of suppressive fire here. We also got Pan Grenadiers hooking around the southern end of the hill, trying to be a bit sneaky to get into that position. They don't have, once again, anti-tank weapons, which is gonna be important. If he had like a Panzerschreck or two going into that position, he could probably knock out like at least a firefighter.
Here's a funny thing though. Some of them actually do have that. So, not the Großdeutschland Pigren, but the specifically Großdeutschland either Sturmgruppe or the Pigren to Panzerfaust. They have them, but we're seeing a lot more availability from your kind of, run-of-the-mill Pigrens, and we're seeing the kind of cost that right about now. Though, that said, the Sturmgruppe are hooking around that northern end of the position, and they've pushed back everything that's really there, but for now these stewards that are able to see them, and this entire push is dead. Okay.
Yeah, and this is going to be just the cost of trying to push uphill, is these CQC tanks are in a very nice position. They can, wait for the enemy to come right into their range at killing field, and then the infantry just get blapped. And then moving tanks up over the hill to try to deal with those stewards is pretty much a 50-50 coin toss on who gets the first kill.
Here's an interesting thing. So we actually have 2 more Panthers being brought on in. So we now have 3 heavy tanks, but all 3 of those heavy tanks are south of the river. Do you like this? No, and why?
No, he has, well, I say 3, but 2 heavy tanks now. Tiger but he's got another Tiger. He's a B-phase, so, you're going to be just buying heavy tanks galore. But he's way too tunneled vision here. Like, he can, push up. He's got 1 flag back for the time being, and 2, but he's just going to spend so much time trying to grind down his position. Where if he was to use these heavy tanks, just a little bit up north, I mean, where the commando, the Vickers and the, 2-man recon team is, just a bit north of the river, like the Central River. You put the heavy tanks there, you try to play around this area, you can capture, reasonably a decent amount of flags, and use your heavy tanks to their heavy advantage at heavy range. And by heavy range, I mean long range.
For me, I was even thinking go pretty much the northern edge of the map. My opponent has seen me just kind of put all of this stuff over here in the south. He's bringing all this stuff. I know he's doing that. Okay, fine. I put some anti-tank just below the crest of the hill, so that way he can't come down the hill without getting roasty toasty. And I just blow apart everything to the northern side. I don't know.
It's definitely gotten sunken cost fallacy, it feels at this point.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. And with the Sextons as well, you're not going to actually win that duel at any point. Though he is bizarrely focusing more on the AT, which I kind of get, but I don't know. You're the Poles, I can just bury you in tanks, and I can lose 2 to your 1 and still come out ahead.
The Poles are very good at holding desperate hill positions.
I'm not sure that's a reference to something, if you're being...
Yeah, and the Call of Duty 3.
Dude, it's been a hot second.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
The Mace mission. One of the best missions in the Call of Duty.
Oh, really? You don't like No Russian?
That's the first one, obviously.
Disclaimer, this is not actually...
Who says I shoot the civilians? I just roll
no
free.
joke. I think that's how I played the map, the actual map, and the first time I was like, I cannot bring myself to do this, but I feel awful not narratively doing it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, because everyone I've met, even my dad who I got to play it, they just hold down the shoot.
No, dude, at that point I was like, I'm feeling conflicted about this right here.
Good for you.
It wasn't that much of one. The next time I went through, I definitely did it. But it's just to see how the other half lived. No, I will say I was watching somebody who was talking about the remaster for Modern Warfare 2, where the Russians invade the East Coast, and they're like, in 2009 when it first came out, this could actually happen. Now it's like the Russians can't cross the street without running out of supply, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of true. Exactly,
fantasy at this
exactly.
point.
And now another Panther has died. So the 17 pounders, I would say worth their weight in platinum, because they're engaging and putting a lot of delicious firepower down. And be supported by the 140 off map. The infantry is going to be suppressed. The Panther's going to get forced back. And if this Panther gets any kind of eyes on from the Firefly or the 17 pounder, I wouldn't be surprised to see another kind of burning tinderbox down below.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very good defensive trade here. Trading a 17 pounder for a Panther is always bloody worth it. You are seeing Higan has invested in 2 Hummels as well as a battery Fuhrer now with all the new fancy trait system. We actually do stuff for the artillery leader, which is really cool to see. So they're not just using him as bloody frontline, you know, just beefy command squad, actually keeping them with the artillery to do artillery things.
I honestly really, really freaking adore it. It's taken them years to get there, but hey, they're doing it. Another off map though, so we can see the Sextons are going to try to counter battery. I think they're going after the stovepipe, aren't they? Yeah, they're going after the stovepipe. No, they're going after the mobile wagon now. This is, oh, okay, because of the mosquito. So the failed Mozzie run. They figured, you know what, our bloodsucker was forced away. We're going to kill your. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. There's actually just like
sure.
In for a sec. Like, it's kind of crazy. I think he may actually get up his hill. He's sort of traded effectively. There's not a whole lot of Polish defenses left, and there's a lot of German forces he has been building up.
He absolutely has been, that's for sure. And I think one of the reasons for that is now we're seeing, though, another company of tanks being brought on in. I may draw your attention to the Cromwell 5, the Firefly, another Cromwell 5,
yeah.
Cromwell 7, the Sherman, and lest you forget 2 more Fireflies. So I agree with you, I think, for now. And I think using this last artillery barrage on that infantry as before his infantry push comes in, I think is both ironically timed, but at the same time also exactly what he needs to be doing.
It's just as planned. Yeah, the big Cromwell reinforcement blob is going to put a big damper on this push here. So really, Higan needs to take advantage of this small window of opportunity. Yeah, off-map artillery is just going to buy Jimster enough time to probably get these defences up. You know, the Hummel counter battery is a Hummel and array at the Saxons as they're now forced to fall back. But fortunately for both sides, having self-propelled guns with a bit of armour, it's, you know, not too hard to just move them after shooting.
That is certainly true. Now the first rounds are going to come down to 140 off map. And missing, let's say conservatively, about 60% of that infantry push. So they are going to take that hilltop flag for now.
The armor's not pushing up to support, and this is the issue. The infantry are caught out in the open. He needs those thugs on top of that hill, drawing fire. Heck, have them run the Tigers or Panthers up here would be good. I mean, the infantry have anti-tank weapons now. The problem is getting them close to the
as I
tanks.
said, those Fausts really don't have the ability to kind of go and scratch the itch of your enemy out there. And you can see right now, they took the hill, and they were tossed off in much the same way as they had been previously.
Yeah, real failure in coordination, because he had the armored support, yeah. He just does. I understand he doesn't want to commit it because it's deadly, but this is the battle you pick trying to go up
The other thing
hill.
here, too, is he's got to rotate that Opal Blitz munitions back down to the Hummel, because the Hummels are running low in supply.
Oh, yeah.
Very big of an
Bit
issue.
of an issue.
Now, the last rounds are going to a good cause. They are finding a good home with all those Polish tanks. But other than causing some HP damage and potentially some later stage life VA issues, I don't really see them killing too much of this.
Yeah. And far down south, we got the Edgelord Panther and Tiger combo going up against Firefly. Actually gets a very good gun jam critical hit, and the Sturm groups are pushing through, but once again, defensive position from the pose, CQC, you know the drill. The Germans are just getting drilled
And shooting
here.
Firefly for another Panther. Again, yes, it sucks to lose the Firefly. It's a very valuable piece of equipment, but the Panther matters more.
Much more. Now as we've gotten into sea phase, it's going to be very hard to continually buy more panthers and tigers.
It certainly will, and actually we're going to see the sea phase card on both sides, either the Dragonis or what's that, the Higan Panzerfaust? Yeah. So, kind of humorously, the northern side, Florzak over here, apparently loving his duty. Becker loving it as well. Eberhardt, Lawetsky. Yeah, all four of those guys just kind of saying, you know what, this is our Christmas truce, but it's lasting all year.
Yeah, everyone up in office is probably very happy and not having to deal with the crap down south. Got actually a tiger and a Sioux being brought in up north. He's going to try and engage Achilles, and
Yes,
there's also a
there is.
17-pounder. So it's probably not going to go good for the tiger.
Let's see, he's going to be just in line of sight. Yeah, we're seeing it right now. They start to engage. First rounds are coming down at the tiger, and the tiger is going after the Vickers first. Well, that's a decision.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't think he really has much recon yet. Now he's buying a Panther recon, so he is starting to pivot, and he's heavily, bringing in a lot of units to do his pivot. Just really have enough time because now we're in sea phase and money does get a bit stretched. And there's 4 Sextons, 5 Sextons on the field.
Well, and that's the thing. He's the holy roller here, dude. Like, it's one of those things that he's got one more Sexton he can theoretically call in. He's got another off-amp he can call in. Now, shockingly enough, he hasn't brought in the artillery leaders, so I'm a little curious about that, considering he might as well do that and decrease the dispersion that's been kind of plaguing his units. But right now, he doesn't care. He's aiming for that Hummel Park, and the Hummel Park is getting resupplied, so this could have been the right idea at the absolute worst time. Yep, one gets brewed up. Wow.
Yeah, wow. Wow, that's a damn effective counter battery, especially smaller caliber.
Well, you know what? You don't get men of that caliber any longer. They're bigger still, because bigger in this case is certainly better. But 4 barrages and getting a kill on the first round or 2 is just like terrifyingly effective. And while we weren't looking, the central position just got a huge amount of reinforcements. See, this is the stuff that we were talking about though earlier. We're seeing that Ritor has a bunch of infantry kind of getting brewed up because of these half tracks kind of going parallel to the Polish lines. But the Poles have to give ground. There's too much scary stuff there.
Yeah, he's done a decent job at least of actually building up his forces and not fully committing with drips and drabs, which is good to see. He just doesn't have, the full-on firepower backing him up to actually gain any significant territory. He's managed to inch his way onto the hill on the northern part of it at least, but he just needs the armor kind of the infantry to do a lot of the killing stuff, because once again the infantry getting caught out in the open, and the few Polish units with some machine guns can just get some big casualties.
That is true, but I would like to draw your attention to the fact that for the first time in this game, Ritor does have himself a flank advantage. So it is 14-10.
All right.
Now he's taking hellacious losses to do it, and he's basically donated a lot of heavy tank for it. But the Cromwell stream is slowly starting to dry up.
Yeah. It's also up north, as actually the northern push is working out now, which is good to see for him. He's got the Tiger and Panther, really much better territory for those tanks, and he's meant to capture a few flags, which it's good. At least he's done that now.
Exactly. So this is the kind of way to actually play, I would argue, PGGD. Now, Mozzie coming in, this could retard the progress of the entire thing, and indeed watch it go and just like wipe out 2 of these fighting vehicles without too much effort. They got one, they got an expensive one for that matter.
Yeah. It's probably gonna need a few more mobile wagons, because during the sort of open tank field push like this, can be very good, but mosquitoes and other sort of flying pests can really slow down your progress.
That is 100% accurate. Unfortunately, he only has one other mobile wagon, and I think... Oh no, he's got both of them on the map right now. Never mind. So he could call in some SDKFZ, which I actually would like that quite a bit. Another Firefly going down in the south as the Sniping Tiger, shockingly enough, is still getting some value here.
Oh.
So I'm not gonna say it's a hidden dragon over here, but certainly it's a crouching tiger every now and again. Tiger to the northern side, starting to engage the Sextons, and there is no holy protection over here. One by one, they are going to get taken out if you're not too careful.
Yeah, actually, very good position, and yeah, Firefly is going to do his best to try and hold him up. A big gun
It certainly is,
duel.
but if one more shot from the Tiger could stress out that Firefly, especially if it's a direct hit or a kill. That works as well.
There we
And
go.
just like that, though, it's 15-9. And my question is, why didn't we see this so much earlier?
It's just classic tunnel vision problem that you see us time and time again with really every single RTS game known to man, or any sort of strategy game, where you just, you lose an area, and losing the hill in the center sucks. But as you've seen, he's spent so much time, money, and resources, and he's barely gotten that one flag back on the position. Where with really not much investment compared to what he spent down south, these men's are getting 2 very easy flags up north, and he has a lot of momentum backing him up.
Exactly. I'm trying to look to see what other things are there. It's just a 17-pounder. That is the only thing keeping the Poles alive in the center part of the map.
Mm-hmm.
There are more Polish units in that tiny forest than there are north of the river.
I know. It's an absolute, bloodbath, yeah. But, yeah, Higan's been slowly trading. I'm really curious to see what the KD ratios are going to be on this match. I think it's just going to be brutal for both sides.
I 100% agree. The artillery duel continues to spark and fizzle a little bit. It's just the one Hummel, though, at this point. Nobody else is coming to help him out. And you just see him just fire a couple rounds, move. Fire a couple rounds, move. He's got to be doing that consistently.
He's learned his lesson. He'd probably want to move the Hummel away from the resupply road.
Probably a good idea. Probably a very good idea.
Get some open territory, because those Sextons, they are, really unable to do some counter
That
battery.
is true. Jimster has lost the actual hillside considerably. He is, at this point, almost tapped on heavy tanks to send down south. You can see it right now. Sturmgruppe moving on in. These guys, of course, packing those lovely MP44s, and those Polish pioneers, not going to be able to hold back this tide. This is too much.
Mm-hmm. Way too many guys here.
Falling back doesn't do him very good. Those houses, for some reason, just decay as soon as you zoom in the meantime. But considering the amount of attention they've been getting this entire match, I'm surprised it's taken this long already. Now, centrally, we have a couple of Cromwells, one of whom is more worth killing than anything else, but the 17-pounder goes down, and that right there, that was the linchpin in the central position.
Yeah, it's pretty now open here for Higan just to keep on pushing. He's going to capture that one flag on the road. And if he can just get his own AT rampant into that little Cromwell forest position, that's pretty much the entire northern flank just dead. It's very hard to really push back from that point on. It's such a critical area to lose, because it's a huge reinforcement junction to the rest of the map.
Absolutely. Now the Sextons have fallen silent. Apparently, and Jimster does too. He taps. Jeez. So just under 30 minutes. You're absolutely correct, by the way. It is brutal.
Yeah, that's a lot of death. But no, I'm honestly surprised he can manage to pull it out, because he, we're complaining quite a lot of his tunnel vision on the hill, but he did fix the arrows of his ray towards the end.
And here's the issue, too. If you look at the chronology, the first 5 minutes is awful.
Oh.
But I guarantee if you look at the last 5 minutes, look at the let's say the monetary value being utilized there instead. And heck, I'm not even going to the last 5 minutes. I just went to the last 3. And that is hideous losses for the Poles.
Yeah, it's a complete reversal towards the end.
Kills over here in the meantime. Not a lot to really speak of. a couple of small things here and there. The off map, I think, actually was probably when that's again one of your most deadly weapon systems. You kind of have to reassess maybe some of the deployment that's going on.
And then losses, we got Dukes actually doing pretty damn well. Theobald, the Tiger and Array. But actually nothing else independently, which is that's crazy from the German
So that,
killie
by the way, that's a
perspective.
central Tiger. That wasn't the southern Tiger. So yeah, so that was one that picked
Oh,
off the Sexton. Actually, was a beautiful little kind of line shot in there. So I almost find myself wondering what could have happened if Retor could have been pushing his luck in that direction that much sooner. But we'll never know. So
we won't know. We don't have a time machine. We've only used it once this match to
yeah,
tell
but
him
you
to
know
buy
he
an
listened
mortar.
and good things happened. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But all right, any other final thoughts there, sir? Folks, in that case, then,
No.
you know what that means. It's time for us to say goodbye. Until next time, I'm Conor Work.